Welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that everyone's going to face at some point in their lives, and that's that crushing feeling of overwhelm that just leaves you feeling stuck or stressed out or struggling to find direction. I want to talk through with you how you can break through that overwhelm and really reset your focus, your energy, and your purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. Because we all know overwhelm, it sucks. I get it. I've experienced it plenty of times. My brain decided a few years back to discover that thing that people call anxiety. And I've been dealing with it and working through it time and time again for years. So I want to bring to the table things that could help with that. Overwhelm, it can look all sorts of ways, like just general overwhelm or stress or frustration. Maybe you're feeling something like that right now. There's that endless list of to-dos that you have to get done, or that constant pressure for something, or the mental fog that makes it hard to focus on anything or finding joy in anything, right? Well, what if I told you that your path through overwhelm isn't about doing more, but about just giving more? Because stick around, because by the end of this video, I want to share with you these 8 kind of practical steps and principles that you can do. They're going to help you to use your unique gifts and superpowers to break free from overwhelm and rediscover your purpose, and to increase your energy through giving. Now, these are strategies I would use with you if you were one of my one-on-one clients, if you're here in my office with me, and we were walking through each of these ideas. It's packed with tons of actionable steps to help you to reset that focus and find clarity even during the most stressful times of your life. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this book. It's called The Giver Method. You can get access to it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. I highly recommend that you get it for yourself, as well as grab a copy for maybe 1 or 2 people who may need it. The whole idea is how to, transform lives through generosity, how to find and discover your unique gifts and superpowers so that you can create deeper impact. You can, have deeper connections with those around you, and you can live a more fulfilled life. And who doesn't want that? So I highly recommend, once the video is done, I'll put a link in the description. Go get it. Go get a copy for someone else. Share it with someone that may need it. Now, today I'm going to show you how giving of yourself and your talents, your time, and your natural abilities can be the most effective way for you to combat that overwhelm and reconnect with what matters most to you. Now, before we dive in, if you are new here, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell for notifications. I don't want you to miss out on any of the content about unleashing your gifts and superpowers and creating more meaningful impact. I'll also include in the description links to thegivermethod.com if you want to get on our newsletter list, or if you wanted to join our Impact Makers community. I highly recommend one of those two. Once again, helping you to discover and develop those gifts and superpowers. It's just a way to amplify all of that on top of getting access to the book, which is a bestseller on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble, so you can go get access to it yourself. Now, as I go through the principles, as I'm coaching you through these things, because it is going to be packed with these action items, I recommend that you grab a piece of paper, open up a note, and jot down your thoughts as we go, because it is great that you're watching this video, but the real value and impact will come when you start putting these things into motion yourself within your own life. So I've designed them to be things that you could go do like today or this week that are going to start helping you to work through the frustration, the overwhelm, the stress, and really start to live with more energy and a more purpose-filled life. Okay? So let's dive in. Here are these principles and steps I've come up with for breaking through that overwhelm using things that are grounded and found within the Giver Method. So the first one is that you have to reconnect with your gifts, and your superpowers. Overwhelm often disconnects us from our natural talents and abilities, which are, those things that actually do energize you the most. And during stressful times, you tend to focus on, what's lacking rather than the unique gifts that you already possess. This sort of idea is about intentionally reconnecting with all those innate strengths and abilities that you have inside of you, especially when you feel the most scattered. That reconnection involves more than just listing out what those skills are. It's about remembering those moments that you've had when you felt the most alive and the most effective, where you helped the most, when your natural abilities just created value for others without draining you. Now, these experiences, they're going to hold those clues to those gifts and superpowers you have that might help you to navigate through that overwhelm. So what I recommend that you do is you start by creating a quiet moment of reflection, particularly at the beginning and end of the day, and ask yourself, well, what are the things that make me lose track of time, or where people consistently thank me for? Look for any sort of patterns in the feedback you receive from others and the moments when you felt the most energized. And then set aside time each week when you can actively, use one of your gifts, even if it's just for a few minutes. This might mean offering advice in an area of your expertise, or helping someone organize their thoughts, or using creativity to solve a problem. The key is consistent engagement with your natural abilities. So you can create gift journals where you document those moments of natural ability and impact. How did you feel during those moments? What specific talents or gifts or superpowers were used? How did the others respond to it? And then review that journal weekly. And then, of course, you can always design small experiments to intentionally use your talents in different ways. If you're, naturally empathetic, schedule time for brief check-ins with people who might need support. If you're good at simplifying complex ideas, offer help people to understand challenging concepts. Reconnecting with your gifts is so essential because it reminds you of, what's that internal inherent value and capacity that you have, especially when overwhelm is trying to make you doubt yourself. And when you operate from your natural strengths, you access this source of energy and clarity that helps combat stress in all sorts of ways. It really creates that foundation of, self-awareness, and it creates a stable platform from which you can begin to give to others and give to others more. And understanding the use of those gifts helps you to contribute in ways that energize rather than drain you, making giving more sustainable, even during the times that are challenging. Now, the second one is that you want to shift your focus outward. That's the whole concept of generosity and giving. When you shift your focus outward, you are intentionally moving your attention from the internal stresses to external impact. This idea, it's going to help you to break the cycle of overwhelm by redirecting mental energy towards how you can serve others using your gifts and superpowers rather than dwelling on the challenges that you've been experiencing. This sort of a shift isn't about ignoring the problem, but rather gaining that new perspective through service. And when you focus on using your gifts to help others, you often find that your own challenges become more manageable and your path forward becomes easier. So once again, begin each day by identifying who's the one person that you could help with your natural abilities. Could be a colleague, who could benefit from your skills. Could be a friend, a family member who needs emotional support. Create these regular opportunities for giving by looking for needs that align with your gifts, and pay attention to conversations where people express challenges that maybe your natural abilities could help address and take care of. Make it a habit of asking, how could my gifts serve in this situation? You look for those impact opportunities, you list them out where the situations where your gifts could make a difference, and then each day choose something that you want to try and use an action item. When you're proactively thinking this way, it makes you start looking for those additional opportunities that you can do. You could look for giving blocks of time where you dedicate to focus on that. During any of these times, you completely immerse yourself in the service, letting go of any personal worries, and just concentrate on creating the value for someone else. When you shift your focus outward, it becomes an important piece of this because it breaks the self-reinforcing cycle of stress and overwhelm. And when you're constantly focusing inward on your problems, we might magnify them actually. External focus through giving provides mental spaces and new perspective. It helps you to maintain that broader view of life and of your purpose that you're trying to do. And by focusing on how you can serve others with your gifts, you stay connected to what truly matters, preventing that overwhelm from consuming your entire perspective. Now, the third one is that we want to create intentional value. The V in giver is about vivid value. And creating intentional value means choosing specific ways that you can give that align with both your natural abilities and others' needs. It focuses on matching, once again, those gifts and superpowers with the opportunities where you can have the most meaningful impact, rather than just giving randomly throughout your day, trying to help in ways, that could possibly actually be draining you. During times of overwhelm, it's easy for us to feel like we have nothing to offer, but when we're being intentional about how we give, we create that significant value even when our own resources feel limited. And so it ensures that our giving energizes rather than depletes. So start by identifying the areas where your natural abilities can intersect with current needs within, the community or your workplace or friends and family. Look for those situations where your unique perspective and skills could offer fresh solutions or support, and then develop what are those systems or ways for, evaluating giving opportunities based on how well they match with your gifts. Consider, what different factors like what's the potential impact, the energy required, whether the activity allows you to operate from your strengths, and then choose opportunities that are going to create the most value while staying true to your natural abilities, because that intentional value that you create, it helps break through overwhelm by focusing your energy where it can have its greatest impact. When you're targeted in your approach to this, it prevents you from the exhaustion that comes from trying to help in ways that don't align with your natural strengths. When you create value intentionally, you build confidence, in your ability to make a difference even during those challenging times. This sense of capability often provides more clarity and purpose needed when you're navigating through those periods of stress or confusion. Now, number 4 is engaging with your purpose. Purposeful engagement is about approaching each interaction as that opportunity to share gifts meaningfully, to make that engagement, that interaction, that discussion as impactful as possible by providing as much value and support and love and care as you can in it. This helps you move past the reactive response to proactive giving, ensuring that each engagement serves both you and others effectively. Rather than letting overwhelm drive you into isolation or superficial interactions, really purposeful engagement helps you to stay connected in ways that align with your natural abilities and your natural energy levels. It's about quality of it over the quantity in your giving in those relationships. So before any interaction, take that moment to consider how your gifts could serve the situation. Think about the unique perspective or ability you bring that could add value and to that conversation to help the challenges that are being discussed. And then naturally, you do need to create boundaries around your engagements to ensure that you remain purposeful and not overloaded. This could be scheduling specific times for deep work or limiting certain types of interactions to preserve your energy for the more meaningful giving opportunities that you could come across. Because purposeful engagement, it prevents energy drain, that comes from being scattered and unfocused with our interactions. And by approaching it, with this intention, you maintain clarity and energy needed to be effective. It helps you to break free from overwhelming patterns of reactive support and instead create meaningful connections that are going to inspire both you and the person that you're interacting with. The 5th one is, you have to build what are your giving rituals? Those rituals are consistent practices that help you to maintain connection to your gifts and your purpose, even during stressful times. So when you have a routine, it creates that structure and stability, making it even easier to continue giving when overwhelm, threatens to derail you. Unlike random acts of kindness, the giving rituals integrate generosity in your daily life, in sustainable ways. They become anchors that help you to stay grounded, and focused, providing you reliable opportunities to share regardless of the external circumstances. Giving rituals, when you create them and you focus on them, daily, they provide you that stability and structure during those chaotic times. They ensure overwhelm doesn't completely derail you, your ability to share your gifts and maintain those meaningful connections. This consistent practice helps you stay anchored in your purpose and values, preventing stress and preventing the stress and overwhelm from discovering you and pulling you away from what matters most. These rituals are going to build momentum, making it easier to maintain giving, even when you start to feel overwhelmed. Now, our 6th one is about embracing reciprocity. This idea means recognizing that giving creates this natural cycle of energy and support. It helps to understand that when you give from your gifts, you often receive unexpected benefits that can help combat overwhelm. I often say that when people develop their gifts and superpowers and give them without expecting anything in return, the universe has a way of paying you back. One of those ways is helping you to combat overwhelm, stress, frustration, those things that come in. It's not about giving to get something back. Like I said, you have to give, it has to be generous and giving without expectation. Rather than giving, with expecting, it's about staying open to how an act of giving often just brings clarity or connection or renewed purpose. It's about understanding that generosity creates positive feedback loops that can help you lift you out of any overwhelming situation. So you just need to pay attention to how your giving affects your own energy and mindset, and then notice when sharing your gifts naturally leads to new insights or new opportunities or support from others. Create the space to receive gracefully when people do want to give to you, because people do want to give back. And then practice, accepting help and appreciation and recognizing this. It creates that cycle of giving that allows others to share their gifts as well. Because understanding that reciprocity, that reciprocal nature of it, helps prevent the burnout by showing how giving can be sustainable and mutually beneficial between you. It really does challenge that belief that giving depletes resources during overwhelming situations. It helps you to maintain motivation for giving by highlighting your its natural rewards that come from that. And then seeing how generosity creates positive cycles of support and growth makes it easier to continue sharing those gifts at any period of time. Now, the 7th one is that you want to celebrate your impact. Celebrating impact means you're intentionally recognizing, and acknowledging the difference between, what your giving has created. This idea helps you to really, fight and combat overwhelm by highlighting how your Gifts create positive change even in small ways. Rather than letting your giving and your contributions go unnoticed, this involves actively tracking and appreciating the ripple effect of what your giving is. It helps maintain motivation and clarity, about the value of your gifts during those stressful times. And so just create those regular moments where you reflect on how your gifts have influenced others. Look for both direct impacts or maybe subtle changes that might have resulted from sharing those gifts. And then develop ways where you mark meaningful moments of impact, whether it's through, that simple personal acknowledgement or sharing stories with others that help to inspire. There's all sorts of ways that you can approach that. Celebrating impact helps maintain perspective during these overwhelming times. And by, reminding yourself of your abilities to create positive change, it just creates that concrete evidence that your gifts matter. And this, helps to identify which forms of giving are the most effective, allowing you to refine your approach and increase your impact over time. And of course, the eighth one is, that you have to nurture growth through your giving. So nurturing growth through giving means that using generosity as as that pathway for your own personal development. It helps to create and upgrade you, from overwhelming situations to see those as opportunities for learning and expanding your own gifts. Instead of viewing stress as a barrier to grow, this sort of idea helps you to see how sharing, your gifts can actually accelerate your development and lead towards discovering new abilities. So look for the ways that you can stretch your giving, out of your comfort zone gradually. Find the opportunities to, apply your gifts in new contexts or combine them with other new skills you're working on. And then create learning partnerships where you can exchange knowledge and skills with others, allowing mutual growth through the giving that you're doing. This whole idea is designed to help, transform you and to, upgrade everything so that overwhelm is, no longer a limiting force, but it's really that springboard forward for growth. It helps to maintain that forward momentum even during challenging times. And by focusing on growth through giving, you create, positive, meaningful, you create positive meaning from those stressful situations, making it just easier to navigate and learn from them. Because it's easy to just break it down that overwhelm doesn't have to keep you stuck. The path through it isn't doing more, but being more. It's about just giving more intentionally from your natural gifts and superpowers. As you apply any of these 8 things we talked about, you can transform stress into opportunities for meaningful impact and personal growth. Remember, you don't have to implement everything at once. Start with just one thing and, start with the one that resonates the most with you. And then, build from there. Each small act of giving creates ripples of positive change, and it impacts both you and those around you. Now, if you want to learn more about discovering, sharing your gift superpowers, once again, now is the time where you're going to go down the description. You're going to click that link on Amazon, go get your copy of The Giver Method, or go to thegivermethod.com and get on the newsletter list. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who may need it. Leave a comment on maybe if there's any of these that you've tried before and the impact you've seen, or the one that you're most excited to try. Once again, it could motivate someone else who's needing that direction on what they could do next. And with that, I'll just say until next time, keep growing, keep giving, and remember that your gifts are exactly what someone else needs right now. So give them. And I promise you that as you do so, the universe will pay you back. And one of those ways is to help you to work through the stress and work through the anxiety and the frustration that you are potentially experiencing, and help you to see more clarity and live a more purpose-filled life. And so with that, we'll catch you in our next video. Have a great rest of your day.